The generic cold open monster finally grabs Mark and, instead of crushing him, decides to spike him into the ground because, this is a catch and release desert?
I win!
Premature
That's the second time you celebrated too soon.
stealing my lines and forcing a premature celebration narration.
The GDA thanks you and your son for your assistance.
Child abuse. How convenient that his suit burned in seemingly random places except his crotch. Not that I wanted to see cartoon junk. I'm just saying, realistically, it would be on the menu.
7 minutes, 42 seconds.
A new record. Nice work.
Are you telling me there isn't a single fire-based hero who could outlast Mark in lava? And if this is just for Mark, it's a PB, Cecil, not a record. Well, that was incredibly dangerous. If Mark had landed an inch to the side, a disregard for teenagers in his care would no longer be the only thing Cecil has in common with Professor X. The almighty internet, benevolent be its future dominance of us all, says that lava gets up to 2,200 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas planetary re-entry can reach 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. So how did the costume survive re-entry this much better than the lava? Again, to clarify, it's not about the animated junk.
I could have done it faster, but I got lost on the way back again.
Cute joke, but why the hell doesn't that suit have built-in GPS or a funky heads-up display? Iron Man had it back in 2008, and he basically built that shit.
In a cave with a box of scraps!
Believing that what the icebergs really need in 2025 is more human f***ery. Not pictured in this scene, the 1,000-foot-tall tsunami that should have killed Cecil, his team, and a few hundred befuddled penguins who were simply trying to finish up their choreography to a random pop music mashup while being narrated at by Morgan Freeman.
Over the last 90 days, Mark's speed has increased 65%, his endurance 70%, and his strength, and we checked this wasn't a mistake, 138%.
Yay! Numbers that don't actually mean anything without a proper frame of reference and will not be shown in any meaningful way with fancy bar charts or graphs for me to sin. Good job wiping all that sweat from the brow that is currently covered by a mask.
I'm trying to give you the finger right now, and I can't.
Oh man, that's your favorite finger.
It's my favorite finger!
It's his favorite finger, Cecil.
Episode has time for this.
Sir, believe it or not, but somebody appears to be stealing the Declaration of Independence.
Getting this close to summoning a Nicolas Cage.
We're gonna kick your ass now.
Not giving your suspects the chance to surrender before immediately doing a violence on them. It's almost like there should be some kind of, I don't know, force in place to like police crimes rather than resorting to justice via superhero ass kickings. I have no clue how you would accurately date something like the Declaration of Independence, but I am sure it's old enough to turn to 1,777 carcinogenic dust particles of freedom as soon as it was violently kicked out of someone's hand.
Stop being weird about it. Ask her out.
It's more complicated than that.
Unlike this sin for having a drawn-out conversation in the middle of a fight cliche, which is very not complicated.
Multi-Paul!
While I'm inwardly humored by the witty consistency here, I'm suddenly questioning the numbers on Multi-Paul and Duplicate's costumes. If they're direct copies, by what mechanism are they changing the number each time? So f***ing help you in the comments if you say magic or read the comic. Also, if 2 dies, does the next clone become the new 2, or is 2 then lost forever? And if 2 duplicates itself, which we know can happen, isn't that technically 2.1? And if so, why math? Duplicated also. I'm assuming that 0 is the original Kate, but why would you ever advertise this to your enemies? What use is being numbered anyway? And I guess no one on the team has ever questioned the number logic, or else they'd know that she wasn't really dead, which honestly they should have assumed. Oh no, my fiance's brother is attacking one of my allies because he thinks my fiance is dead, but she isn't because she just faked her death alarm is going off. This almost never happens. Rex is taking an absolute beating, and I would 100% feel some kind of way about his well-being if I hadn't already seen him shot in the head and survive. Nothing like completely disposable blood-filled protein packs to feed your audience's gore obsession.
They said you were dead.
You, out of everyone, should know how hard we are to kill.
I remember the comment section politely exploding when we send the show for Kate dying when she could have just kept her original self safe. And I also remember the comment section exploding even more politely, I might add, when we send the show for revealing that Kate did just that. I mean, seriously, how do I sleep at night being such a hypocrite? Well, the thing is, one of my duplicates wrote the first sin and another duplicate wrote the second. The real me never writes sins and is therefore never wrong. See how great that works?
You let me and Ray think you were dead? What the hell, man?
It was her decision.
She wanted to disappear for a while.
A decision you kept hidden despite being her boss. A decision that couldn't possibly have been biased by all the sex you're having. It's almost like the Guardians need an HR department to prevent some of this blatant conflict of disinterest that's going on here.
I had to save Rex from like 100 multi-polls.
Except you didn't save Rex. Kate did. So here's a sin for stealing credit.
But the real bad guys got away.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
Especially when it's me and I'm just f***ing around talking relationship drama with a misogynist instead of actually doing the job I dropped out of college to do.
But remember,
Mark, that was an abysmal throw. Your brother is not 20 feet tall, you sudden superpower reveal baiter.
We're both rejoining the Guardians, effective immediately.
Also,
I guess the Immortal proposed on the way over here? I mean, there definitely wasn't a ring on her finger during the fight with Multipol. I suppose it's possible, but it seems like weird timing to... Wait, it wasn't on her finger when Monster Girl hugged her? Does he even know he proposed? Let's take a second to look at this map. For starters, what the f*** did you do to Maine? Put it on a diet? Why is it so skinny? Second, Donald's about to say,
They do seem to be centered around major cities.
but you've got dots in northwest Arkansas, South Dakota, eastern Colorado, southeast Oregon, northern Idaho, southeast Washington, Mississippi, western Indiana, and more places where you can barely find a Walmart, let alone a major city. Thirdly, Delaware.
I made him promise not to use his powers until we all had time to talk about it.
Because kids are famous for being reliable promise keepers. Was it a pinky promise, Mark, or did you bribe him with screen time?
The only guy without superpowers or a banging cyborg body, and I just beat both your butts for the third time in a row.
William would be the literal definition of incredible at, no, seriously, how is he beating them, Sins?
How are we gonna get back to campus?
Isn't Mark still attempting to keep his identity secret? That's still a thing, right? Or did I miss a season?
Huh? I'll get it.
Wait, I'm not finished.
Call me argumentative, but I wish Debbie was more concerned about her purple alien child who is still partially purple opening the door to an Amazon driver or religious solicitor. Okay, I feel like the show's deliberately trolling me now. You don't need to push the pump thingy down on the French press if you're just going to magically make the coffee appear as you don't even need the fucking French press.
Are you going to college?
No, don't be silly. That's just a hobby I'm considering. I'll be using my powers to solve world hunger instead of frivolously French pressing caffeinated bev.
I signed up for part-time classes. I start next week.
I've been thinking about this a lot.
Skip.
I don't work for you. Cecil, how many times do we have to have this conversation?
At least thrice a season, apparently, which is approximately thrice more per season than I required after season 1.
Show me seismic.
How did you not know the instant he escaped? That's a massive jailbreak. The Immortal had a future brother-in-law team member murder beep booper set up in a log f***ing cabin in what I can only assume was the middle of snow Canada. How is this news?
Every superhero in America has been abducted, except for 2.
And we'll never find out why Mark and Eve were missed other than a presumed villainous respect for romantic B-plots. Also, couldn't you call in some Canadian superheroes or Mexican superheroes? Hell, you could call in some Alaskan or Hawaiian heroes, Cecil. The map of geological events from earlier only hit the lower 48 states. Also, Oliver appears to be having a great time playing a blank screen, but we'll be glossing over that because of this cool reflective reaction shot. P.S. We won't.
So you're only asking me out now because the other me, who is not me, told you how miserable she was?
And this awkwardness could have totally been avoided if only Mark had some friends who he could bounce the tell Eve everything idea off of. I'm sure they'd tell him it was dumb and manipulative and also dumb. Oh well, his losses are also loss. Kids. Also, good thing this house only has windows on its front side, or Debbie'd be looking pretty stupid waiting out here all day while Oliver snuck out the back.
It took months for me and my friends to learn all of your particular vibrations.
All for me to realize that it was absolute f***ing nonsense. I mean, how would that even work for Monster Girl, who presumably has different vibrations depending on her form? Hell, Robot could have 3 distinct vibrations depending on what Rudy is doing. How would it even work for the flying heroes? And how would I manage to pull this off all simultaneously? I don't think there's enough vibration jargon in the multiverse to make this a believable villain's plan. The rest of Doc Seismic's speech, presumably. Also, Doc Seismic is teamed up with cave bugs capable of creating a material that can trap every superhero in America. Not a single one is able to break free of this shit. every hero in one place and not a single applicable power shall be seen. The Viltrumites don't need to invade. Earth is plenty capable of conquering itself.
What is that sound?
That's the sound of the infinite possibilities of matter manifestation and manipulation being criminally misused. It's a delicate score that will accompany the rest of the episode, season, and show. Also, how is their arrival a surprise to him? I don't know about Eve, but he's definitely met Mark. I imagine the hero called Invincible, who has thrown him in jail once already, would be pretty high on his heroes currently in an unbreakable bubble checklist.
It's my old friends, token diversity and gender stereotype.
Not specifying which statement applies to whom, so I can confidently know who to be offended for and by how much. Small point, but if Eve used both hands to thrust upwards, but is now only thrusting from one hand, shouldn't she now be spinning counterclockwise?
How does a nobody like Doc SINvincible pull shit like this?
Because you put him in a regular prison cell, genius. You gotta put him in a special one. Everyone knows that. Plastic for Magneto, kryptonite for Superman. I don't know, put him in a gelatin cell or something. Look, I'm not here to do your job for you. What I'm trying to say is you suck at it.
I wanted to go out and help until they got back.
Nice scene, but shouldn't it be at the end of the episode instead of in the middle and disturbing the shit happening that I at least 50% care about? I'm sure they'll eventually get to it now that the trash talking is done, but why aren't they already trying to free the rest of the heroes to even the odds? At least one of them should be trying.
Free the others! I'll cover you!
Okay, I just complained about this, but I wanted to complain about it way sooner, so the sin still stands.
Goodbye.
I've often wondered how long it takes for Eve to fire off a shot. Now we know it's precisely longer than a dramatic pause in the 2 syllables it takes to say goodbye, evidently. Remember when Donald listed all those fun numbers explaining how Mark was now tough enough to take on a Viltrumite? This very same episode doesn't.
Wake Eve up! She can get us out of these things!
He says, with a knowledge apparently gleaned from a secret magic genie granting wishes and unicorns he keeps in his jockstrap.
No final quips before your deaths? Eat your own
Rex does not deserve this sin removal.
Goodbye forever. I don't think so.
Cecil deploying last-ditch secret countermeasure that will expose his shady dealings that will piss off Mark and kickstart the conflict of the season ex machina? F***ing what? The sacks that are impenetrable from the inside are just openable from the outside? I don't care how deep in the earth you evolved, how the f*** do you get selectively pressured into creating that convenient nonsense? And now, because the script says so, the bugs that Invincible and Adam Eve couldn't manage to put a single scratch on will be beaten back by much less powerful heroes.
We won, my d***'s out, and I don't care.
Title of my sex tape?
Are you working with DA Sinclair? You don't waste people like that. You reform them.
Mark being surprised that the purpose of prison isn't merely to warehouse criminals, but to reform them.
Viltrumites have conquered thousands of planets.
Post-credit scenes that blow their load before 4 names worth of credits have had the time to credit. Just put it in the actual episode instead of giving me multiple confusing climaxes. Yes, I am fine with that phrasing.
Hello, Nolan. Hello? Oh, I get it. You're ignoring me.
Giving Nolan yet another superpower I can be envious of.
Oh, help me! Help me! He's punching my bum! Woo! I'm done with this!
Why do you care so much? You used to date Eve.
I'm happy, so I no longer feel the need to go out of my way to stop others from being happy.
Wally. Eve.
How does a nobody like Doc SINvincible pull shit like this?
This is merely superconductor electromagnetism. Surely you've heard of it.
Then they say firing was not enough. Let's prosecute you for negligence. Then I go to jail. My wife leaves me. My daughter becomes a prostitute. I wind up on death row, sharing a cell with Butch McDick.
Can we just talk about this before we,
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.